Welcome to the Real Recap Extras. It's just myself today. Extras is kind of be a little bit more of a laid back kind of video. I wanted to give some thoughts on a series I've talked about a lot just on the podcast, and that's the Scream franchise. I wanted to come in and rank them, give you my list, talk about what I love about them, talk about what I don't love about them. As I talk about them all the time on the podcast, it's really what kind of kept me into horror. It was a franchise that I could probably watch all of them all day and be fine. It's kind of my comfort movies in a weird way. And yeah, some of them in the franchise are in my top two, three horror movies of all time. And, a lot of them are in my top favorite movies of all time. I just think it's such a consistent franchise. But I wanted to start off and just say you're going to be seeing a lot more of these, a lot more like just solo videos. It's going to be me sometimes it's going to be Chad, and just as like a random upload, no schedule or anything. So podcast every single Monday, and then these kind of sprinkled throughout the week. So thank you guys for all the appreciation on the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, and then if you're watching on Instagram, TikTok. I really appreciate it. But I wanted to go ahead and start off with honestly the worst Scream franchise. And up until this movie came out, I would say that Scream as a horror franchise was the most consistent. You had franchises like Friday the 13th, which for me, to be honest, the first movie's not even that good. It doesn't start getting good till you get into part two, part three, part four. And there's some good movies in there, and then you kind of get into, Jason Lives and Jason X, and I even like the remake that they did. And you see a definite drop down in quality. You can even look at Nightmare on Elm Street, where the first one's amazing, the second one is pretty good, the third one's also amazing, a lot of people's favorites, and then you go down drastically. And just horror in general has kind of a really bad track record with franchises. I mean, even if you look at Chucky and a lot of Halloween, especially as well, these bigger franchises, once they get to that third, fourth, fifth, sixth movie, they start to crumble. And Scream was phenomenal at this. I mean, all of their movies have been they've either been really good or really amazing until my least favorite came out earlier this year, and that was Scream 7. I was actually really disappointed by this one because there was a lot of controversy between Scream 6 and Scream 7 with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. They obviously step away from the film. The directors also stepped away who directed Scream 5 and Scream 6. They stepped away, did a movie called Abigail. And yeah, they brought back the original writer of Scream, Kevin Williamson. And I was actually interested to see what he had to bring to, the franchise he helped create with Wes Craven. And unfortunately, I mean, it's just very mediocre, kind of bad in certain parts. I would say Neve Campbell's always great. I always love to see Sydney. I do think she is kind of in a position where you can't kill her in this franchise. She's too well beloved. And especially if Melissa Barrera is not coming back, Jenna Ortega is not coming back, kind of puts you in a hole with her. You need that main character. My issue with Scream 7 is it has nothing new to add. There's no new commentary about the movie space where I feel like Scream 5 did really well on, Scream 2, Scream 3, even Scream 4, and the original, obviously. They had this meta commentary about the horror space and movies in general. And Scream 7 is just a run of the mill. I mean, you have random killers, like, not going to spoil it because it came out this year, but the killers and the killer reveals are just one. I called one of them literally as soon as the character popped up. The second one, I don't think you could call even if you tried because the character's in the movie for 2 minutes. It doesn't warrant a great reveal. I will say I like certain aspects of it. I like that they brought back Matthew Lillard. It was kind of a cool idea what they were doing with AI. It wasn't fully fleshed through. I think the kills are pretty cool. But for me, when it's stepping up to Scream, you have to bring so much more than cool kills and Matthew Lillard, and his whole campiness of his acting. So Scream 7 was really disappointment. I gave this one a 2.5 out of 5. I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in theaters. I don't think it's one that like Scream 4, where I was kind of negative on it when it first released. That over time it's going to get better and better for me. But I mean, I just don't understand the direction. Kevin Williamson is not coming back to direct Scream 8. Scream 8's definitely happening because Scream 7 performs so well. I think these movies are so beloved and they're just fun to go and watch. And it's unfortunate that we're starting to see a decline and a pretty drastic one. So my next one I want to talk about, my second to least favorite, it's always been Scream 4. I just one the way the movie looks has this weird filter, hazy. There's a scene where they are in a bookstore and Neve is talking to her, or Sydney's talking to her publicist, and you can't even see outside because of how bright it is. The saturation on this film ruins it for me. Just to be honest, I think the coolest part about this movie is the kills. You have such gory kills. You know, you have a funny kill with a police officer, and I like the setup. I love the meta commentary that they are presenting. I like the killers. Obviously, like with it being Jill, you know, Sydney's family, and then even like the motivation for Charlie was really cool. Like that it kind of brought back Stu and Billy in a sense for their dynamic, and even the ending where you know Jill turns on Charlie just like Billy did. It was a nice kind of moment, and then you kind of get into Jill setting herself up, making it look like she got attacked. I think the commentary about what people are willing to go through and to do for fame, really well done, because at that time in 2011 you were seeing some pretty crazy things. You know, I think this movie just falls flat for me just because, you know, I like screams that have a really good score as well, and I'll talk about that as I go further on my list. The music's just kind of there. You know, Sydney kind of takes a back seat in this, and I've been someone who has always loved Dewey over Gale, and I just don't understand the reluctativeness to not kill Gale in this series. I feel, you know, Dewey getting killed in Scream 5 has actually hurt the franchise. I would have preferred it to be Gale. I think you still would have gotten that emotional aspect that they were going for. But I really miss Dewey in this franchise. But Scream 4, it just, a lot of the side characters are kind of whatever. I've never cared for Kirby as well. I know she is beloved, but I just always turned on Scream 4 and I just could not fall in love with it. I remember seeing this in the theaters with my mom. This is me and my mom's favorite franchise to watch together. And I remember being so excited because it's been so long. I mean, it was 11 years between Scream 3 and Scream 4. And unfortunately, for me, I just didn't fall in love with it as much as the other ones. And it's also unfortunate this is Wes Craven's final movie. So Scream 4, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's still really good. There's still so many aspects to love about it. And I know for a lot of people, this is their, you know, top 3. And that's completely understandable. This actually is just now getting a 4K release. I bought the Steelbook, so I'm excited to watch it again. I rewatched about 2 months ago, and I was like, I'm starting to like it more. I would say that the progression over time, when I watched it in theaters, you know, I was 12 years old. I didn't really care for it. I remember my mom not caring for it as well. And I would say as time's gone on, it's gone from about a 2.5, 3 up to a 3. And I think eventually we'll get to a 4. I think as time progresses, I'll start to appreciate it a lot more. But I really hope the 4K gets rid of the saturation that this film has, because I just don't understand what is going on. All right, on to my next one that I wanted to talk about. Another one that has climbed that was below Scream 4 for me. That was Scream 6. I have the 4K right here. You know, for a Scream movie, it's really rare that I only watch it once or twice. And I saw this in theaters the day it came out. I thought it was decent, but I was kind of disappointed. And I remember rewatching it one more time after that, and I was like, this is a 3. Like, it doesn't do it for me. You know, Ghostface, just, I don't know. I didn't really care for the side characters at all. I still really don't. I still feel like this has the second worst character reveals for Ghostface reveals. But I will say I do really like Chad, Mindy, Melissa Barrera's character, and Jenna Ortega. I think the core 4 was they introduced characters that you could continue on the franchise with. It's really sad that they are like 2 of those characters are not coming back. But I just love the dynamic between those 4. You bring back Kirby, who's, you know, a nice addition to this. And yeah, I think a lot of the set pieces are cool. I like the character arc they are going with Melissa Barrera's character of following in her steps of her dad as Billy Loomis. And she kind of she puts on his whole Ghostface outfit and brutally murders the main quote unquote killer, who's Richie's father, as she did Richie in Scream 5. So I like the setup. I like the opening kill as well. It's very unique. And I would just say this one will also probably grow on me more and more. I've only seen this one about 4 or 5 times, which, I mean, if we compare it to a lot of the other ones, I've probably seen the original Scream and Scream 2 and Scream 3 hundreds of times. So this one, I think as I start to watch it more and choose to put this one on, I'll start to like it a lot more. But yeah, I mean, even Gail in this, like, once again, Gail gets attacked. She doesn't get killed. They've been doing this for so long. I think it's time. If she's in Scream 8, I think it's time. But yeah, Scream 6, I would put there. Moving on to one that I think a lot of people are a little bit too harsh on. As a child, this one was my favorite just because I feel it's, I like the set piece of the whole final act. And I just like the story that they're telling. It's in old Hollywood. But that's Scream 3. I don't have the steelbook for this, unfortunately. I wish I did because it's bright red. It's super cool, but sold out right away. And I think it's expensive now. It's like $70. But I love the opening kill of Cotton Weary. A character that was in the first two. Obviously, Sydney framed Cotton for her mother's murder. And I like where Sydney is at. She's off remote. She is, working on a woman's helpline. And you get all of these cool twists and turns. One, you get a lot of lore about her mom. And her mom was always kind of like a weird character, never really talked about too much in terms of post Scream 1, right? They talk about how she, slept around a lot, how she was the reason why Billy's mom left, and his parents got divorced, and that kind of spawned him into what he turned out to be with Matthew Lillard's character, Stu. But yeah, I think this one's just really fun. I think this is probably the Scream I've watched the most. It's just a fun time. You have McDreamy coming in, stepping in as the lead detective. I like all of the kills. I love the kill in the movie studio with all the different Ghostface costumes, and he kind of steps out. I do think the decision to go with a single killer is unique. This was originally written with two characters as Ghostface, and they wanted to switch it to Roman, who ends up being Sydney's brother. And I think people, I think are starting to lighten up on the idea of Roman being Sydney's brother and kind of this long lost person who, his whole life was ruined because of Sydney's mom and his mom. I don't love the fact that it's kind of retconned that he is the reason why Billy and Stu do what they do. He was kind of like the mastermind behind it. Just doesn't make sense to me after Scream 2 as well. But Scream 3 is so much fun. Obviously, the whole final act being in the giant mansion. I think Sydney also is such a badass in this. Another issue I have is Dewey and Gail are just kind of useless in this movie. And I like to see Dewey used more, as he is probably my second favorite character in this franchise. But good kills, just really good, really fun. I love this one. I give this one a 4 out of 5. I know a lot of people, this is their second to least favorite Screams. I don't know. It might be a little bit of nostalgia, but I still watch this one 5 times, 6 times a year. So Scream 3 would be on that list as well. So moving on. So we have our top 3. And the recent one that came out is Scream 5. This is a steelbook, actually a really cool steelbook. I like what Paramount has done. And yeah, I think this one really put Scream back on the map. So the meta commentary, I just think is so perfect. They're talking about requels. And if you don't know, obviously in the horror genre, there's been a lot of movies that come out that are connected to original ones. So if you look at the Halloween franchise, you had the new trilogy, Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Those are direct sequels to the original Halloween. So they're like remake sequels. They're remaking kind of everything that happened, new characters a lot of the time. but they're still connected. And a lot of horror franchises were doing that, and Scream comes in and just nails everything about it. They do the meta commentary perfectly. They talk about the different rules for a requel and all the new characters I love. Chad being one of my favorite, Mindy being a good addition as being Randy's niece and nephew. You have obviously Dewey coming back. He does get killed in this, which is a very emotional moment for me. And I look at it as since then the quality has gone down with losing Dewey, but it is a very emotional moment in the franchise. I would then say they kind of, how do I say, like, misguide you with who the killers are, because you're thinking like there's no way it would be the boyfriend again, but then it is, and his accomplice, who also, what a crazy ending sequence where she gets lit on fire. And I even think her reveal where she basically, like, they're talking in the room of Stu's house, and she just whips out a pistol and shoots someone in the head and is like, you have nothing to be worried, I'm the killer, right? I just think it's so much fun. Just brings back all the characters in such a good way. I think Judy is also pretty solid in this with her son Wes, who does get killed, and I like that they named a character after Wes Craven, who is a top 2-3 director of horror all time, depending on what you prefer. But yeah, just a nice return to form. And this is another one that I've been needing to do a rewatch of. I haven't watched it in about, I would say, 6 months, but out of the new ones that have come out, this has been the one I've watched the most. And I think the kills are also really good in this as well. And Jenna Ortega, I think, steals the show. Moving on, this is, I think, where I might lose some people, but my second favorite Scream movie is the original. Now, I love this movie so much. It's a 5 out of 5 for me, just for anyone. I have it as a 4 out of 5, but it's a 5 out of 5 for most. And on any given day, it's a 5 out of 5. I love the Steelbook. This is the one that they released, and I love this movie so much that I even double dipped and got the standard slipcover, and it's the cool 25th anniversary one. Really unique as well because they gave me a clear case. I don't know if this was standard for this, but I think it looks cool. But yeah, I mean, Scream, iconic, brought the slasher genre back. You had a new final girl who is the greatest final girl in any horror movie in Sidney Prescott. You have, Stu and Billy, who are still the two best killers in this franchise. You have such great motivation. I think it was so unique in talking about what was going on in horror at the time and the rules. You had Randy, who is my third favorite character. I love everything Randy brings. I also love that Halloween is presented a lot in this. Obviously, Wes Craven and John Carpenter have an affinity for each other, and Halloween's been present a lot in Scream. And kind of funny that Halloween H2O is very Scream-like. And yeah, I think this is a perfect horror movie. It's the best intro to a new killer ever. I think this is Wes Craven's masterpiece for most people, objectively. Obviously, you have, when you look at it, like, you have such an iconic opening sequence. For an actor who everyone thought was going to be the main character, she was present on all of the marketing. I mean, she's even right here on the back. Like, she's on all of the main posters. You really think she's going to be the main character. And then she gets brutally murdered. And I just think the kills are some of the best. I think, unfortunately, Billy is pretty obvious as the killer. Also think Stu is pretty obviously the killer. I think at the time it was maybe a little bit harder to see, but as time goes on, I actually don't watch this one as much anymore because, I just think it's something that I just never fell in love with Scream as much as I did Scream 2 and Scream 3 for some reason. I think because maybe they're a bit newer, but yeah, I mean, perfectly written. And I would say if anyone wants to get into horror, this is the one you should start with. But my favorite Scream movie and my favorite horror movie of all time is Scream 2. I don't think it's close. I know a lot of people put this in their top 3. I I was so excited to get this on 4K and as a steelbook. I just think, first off, I prefer the opening kill in this movie with the whole movie theater sequence. You do kind of have to put aside the fact that she's getting killed in a movie theater and no one's seeing her get stabbed. But one of the big things that I love about this movie is one, the setting, the college town, college university is such a perfect, unique setting. I think Dewey is fantastic in this movie. I think Gale is also fantastic in this movie. I love the score. Dewey's theme, Gale's theme, Sidney Prescott's theme is just perfect. The ending sequence where, everything kind of ties together. Cotton and Sidney come out of, this whole traumatic event with Gale as well. And Cotton kind of gets his moment to shine. Sidney says, hey, ask Cotton all the questions. He's the hero. And then you see kind of this pan out shot with a beautiful song of Sidney just kind of walking aimlessly because she doesn't know where to go after this. I think it's so beautiful. I think Mickey's a good killer. He's very crazy, talking about the movies made him did it, which was a conversation that was happening at the time where they were talking about violence in movies, violence in video games more recently as well. And so they used that. And then Billy Loomis's mother. I think, if you watch this movie for the first time, I don't think you could see both of those being the killer. And I think it's perfectly set up that she was, and makes sense. Has the most intense moment of any Scream movie where they get in a crash and Sydney and her friend have to climb over Ghostface. I know the critiques of, well, why wouldn't you just remove his mask? I think for me, I kind of look at it as like, I'd probably be focused on just getting out as well. The whole play section that happens at the end is super fun. I really like Sydney's boyfriend in this as well. I think he's a fun character. It just has so much energy to it. I feel out of the whole franchise, this is the one that feels the most different. It kind of stands out on its own. Really focused on a score heavy movie. And yeah, I just think it's perfect. I have no issues with this. All the characters are great. I think, Dewey surviving also is fantastic. Cotton Weary's a fantastic character. And yeah, I watch this religiously, if not every month, to be honest with you. And it's my favorite horror movie of all time. And I just don't think there has ever been a sequel for a horror movie that will reach this, and especially in the Scream franchise as well. So that is my ranking. So just to kind of go over it real fast, we are at 7 movies. So my least favorite would be Scream 7. Then at my number 6 slot would be Scream 4. My number 5 slot would be Scream 6. My number 4 slot would be Scream 3. My number 3 slot would be Scream 5. Then Scream 2 as my second favorite, and then Scream 2 as my favorite Scream franchise or Scream movie in the franchise. Let me know your rankings down below. Like I said, this was more of just like a quickly put together video, no editing, just throwing this out there. Just kind of wanted to give some deeper thoughts on the Scream franchise, and a franchise that has made a huge impact on my life, and that I continue to love to this day, and that I will show my son. He's already watched all of them. It's funny, he's a year and a half old and he loves horror movies. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a review. And if you're on Instagram Reels or even TikTok, please like and let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm sure Chad will make some of these as well, but I appreciate all of you for taking the time to watch and listen, and I'll see you on the next one.